So Garmin SideVU settings can be a bit overwhelming, but don't worry, you're in the right place. Daren and Wendell here with Wendell Fishing, and I'm going to walk you through all of these settings, what they mean to help you become a better angler and catch more fish. Let's hop in.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop into SideVU. I love SideVU. I can't tell you how much this changed the game for me. But the SideVU, which is Garmin Side Scan, is a sonar technology that shows you a picture of what lies to the sides of your boat. Now you can use this as a search tool or to find structure and therefore fish, but SideVU scanning technology, instead of using a more common conical beam, the SideVU transducer uses a beam to scan the water and bottom to the side of your boat, and it's kind of what it looks like. Now the settings. Now how you get settings, go down here to menu, and there's a smorgasbord of settings that we're going to be walking through. First you have contrast. Now of course you can go up on your contrast, you can slide down on your contrast, and I think default once you hit it goes to 50%. That's correct. And so contrast is the setting on your Garmin ClearVu that adjusts the difference between the lightest and the darkest colors on the image. So here's how it works. The higher the contrast, right, that makes the image appear more sharper, more defined. It can help better distinguish between subtle variations in color and texture, making it easier to identify fish, structure, and underwater features. As you lower the contrast, this is going to create a softer, more subdued image, and this can be useful in reducing noise and clutter in the image, especially in areas where there's a lot of interference. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is the best contrast? And to be honest, it all depends on the water conditions, right? The water clarity, clear water often will benefit from a higher contrast to better define targets and subtle variations in the bottom structure. If you go down, it may be better for murkier water that may require a lower contrast to reduce the noise and clutter. And lighting conditions, literally a bright sunlight can wash out the entire screen. So this will necessitate the higher contrast, or maybe it's low light conditions. This might benefit from a lower contrast to improve that visibility. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, a lot of this is just personal preference. Anglers have different visual preferences. All right, so next let's go in and we have range. This is going to show you off to the sides of your boat. You can kind of set it, right? Do you want it 50? Do you want it 150? You're doing large swaths, large scans. I don't use auto for this, and I'll share the reason why. Typically, I will usually have this at 60 or 70 feet, and it's because typically when I'm fishing, if I see something, I usually can hit 60 to 70 feet with a cast. And so that's why I keep it there. And there's another reason I do this manually, and I'll show you guys in just a minute. We'll get to that setting in a moment. You can also just pause sonar. From here, I don't recommend pausing the sonar by going into the settings screen, because you can literally, on the home screen for SideVU, you can just pause right here. Right? You don't have to go a couple clicks in, you can just do it from the home screen. All right, next on the settings here, sonar setup. There's a variety of different things here, right? You got depth line. Let's show what a depth line looks like. This is going to be, it's not really showing a depth line, right? What is actually showing, this is the distance line, right? So this is 20 feet from the boat, 30 feet from the boat, 40 feet from the boat. And so if you're like, hey, how far is this thing that I just ran over? You can visually guess, or you can just pop on it. You're like exactly 16.2 feet, 14, 16 feet is where this underwater structure is showing, or that return is showing. And so I don't personally like having the depth line on here, so I'm going to go back to the side view and go into sonar setup and turn that off. Next you have on-screen controls, and right now it's set to range. So if you go back here, the on-screen controls is down here. And I like it on range because I can, of course, change how far I want to scan. So keep it on 70, but if you wanted to, you can change this over to sonar setup, your on-screen control. You can make that your brightness. So if you always want to be able to adjust the brightness really easy from your home screen, you can do that, but you can only have one of these up at once. And next thing we have is color schemes. So there's a variety of different color schemes in here: lava, Caribbean, floodlight, ice blue. And the reason that you toggle through a lot of these, the different color schemes provide better contrast, really making it easier to distinguish fish around underwater bottom structure and other important features from the background. Especially helpful in low light conditions where dealing with glare on the screen, and a lot of times it's just user preference. To be honest with you, for instance, my dad is colorblind, and so anything yellow, it would be a bad color scheme for him. So I like this one. We'll go and stay with this, And as you can see right now, this is visually appealing. A lot of times it's just angler preference. That is where you can adjust those color schemes. Next, let's go to sonar setup and sonar recording. If you were to go in here, all of the Echomap chart plotters allow for traditional ClearVu and SideVu scanning technology to be recorded on a micro SD card that you can insert down here in the right. I'm not going to pull that out and start beeping at me, but nonetheless, this is where you can view those. And now you have installation. So installation's interesting. So you can flip it to left or right, and you might be like, why would you do that? Well, I think the main reason is like you're fishing off like the back of a pontoon. You wouldn't want to see it reversed, so you can change it that way. Or if for whatever reason, right, you installed this thing wrong. You installed your fish finder, or it was the only way that you could install it to make it work on your vessel. You can flip this left to right or right to left. And so you can adjust it that way, and you can restore your sonar defaults for this particular sonar side view. So keep in mind, if you have traditional and you have down view and this is side view, once you make a change in one, it only changes for that one and it'll save it, right? So if you wanted to restore the sonar defaults for side view, that you would do so within here. All right, let's head back and head up to scroll speed. So scroll speed is going to set the rate of which sonar images moves across your screen. A higher scroll speed is going to show more detail until there's no additional detail to show, and at which point it'll start stretching out the existing detail. This can be useful when moving slowly or trolling, or when you're in very deep water where the sonar is pinging very slowly. A lower scroll speed displays sonar information on the screen longer, right? But typically when I'm using side view or clear view, I would just put that on the auto setting and leave it. All right, next we have sonar setup. We have range lines. So this is interesting. So if you hit range lines, it's going to throw these lines, all the depth lines, on your screen. And so instead of having to, guesstimate, this is going to throw the 20-foot mark, 30, 40, 50, so you can really quickly know, I just ran over something, there's some fish over here at 18 feet right there. So it just brings these, you don't have to look down and kind of guesstimate, just takes a little bit of the guesswork out so you can cast accordingly. So I actually like range lines, to be completely honest with you. This makes it really simple, but it clutters the screen with a lot. So you'll have to determine whether or not that is right for you. So I'll turn the range lines off. And next we have overlay data. And so this is going to be all the stuff that's on the screen in the top left-hand corner. So for instance, if I were to turn off, take this and hide it, when you went back to the main screen, it would show nothing up here in the left-hand corner. Now, if I go into the menu, sonar setup, overlay data, and I add all of these back, and I like GPS speed, then I will head back here and you'll see that all this is back. So you get your time, your voltage from your battery, miles per hour, water temp, and of course the depth. And it'll show you that it's on chirp, compressed high intensity radiated pulse at 1070 kilohertz. And now we have advanced. So we have interference. So if you click on interference, what this is, it's going to adjust the sensitivity to reduce the effects of interference from nearby sources of noise. Now, correcting installation issues is the best way to eliminate interference here, but this can help you as well. Next, you got the bottom search limit. And what this is going to do, it's going to limit the search for the bottom to the depth selected when the range setting is set to auto. Now, to minimize the length it takes to find the bottom, you can select a depth to limit the search for the bottom. So this device will not search for the bottom deeper than the selected depth. So if you fish in really, really deep water, which I don't, so I really don't even mess with this at all. Next, you have TVG, which stands for time variable gain. So the purpose of TVG is to compensate for signal loss as sonar pulses travel through water. So typically deeper water, right? Objects further away naturally return weaker signals due to the absorption and scattering. And so what TVG will do is increase the gain or the sensitivity for distance returns. And so once again, I don't mess with this stuff, but at least you know what TVG stands for now. All right, now let's go back. That was just all under sonar setup. Now let's go to edit overlays. Now overlays, you have top bars and bottom bars, none of which is showing right now. So let's say we want to go to power pole anchor, head back. You will see there's an overlay at the bottom of the screen here, this line, that if I wanted to push up or down, it's going to make my power pole anchor go up or down. And so you can have that on your screen. On the bottom, you have options. And then let's head over here to edit overlays. let's go ahead and put none. Let's say on the top bar, you want to see your compass tape. When you head back here, you'll see a compass tape at the top. But anytime you add a top or bottom bar, it's just going to reduce your screen size even more. So I don't like utilizing those. So I'll go back and head into the menu, edit overlays, top bar. I'll turn that off. I personally don't like them, but you might. All right, so next we have brightness, right? And so you can scroll up or down to increase the brightness here. It's already up 100% right there. You can do auto low, auto medium, or auto high. You might be asking yourself, well, when should I use the high, medium, or low? So auto high is really ideal for outdoor use in kind of brighter sunlight. Auto medium is going to be a balance setting for the moderate light conditions, like overcast days or when fishing in shaded areas. And auto low you can use for best suited for low light conditions like dawn, dusk, and night fishing. These settings leverage the ambient light sensor to adjust the brightness dynamically while staying within the specified range. So you can also manually override these settings if you prefer a fixed brightness level. And so that's what all these mean. Next, let's head back in. Oh, let's go back in here because that completely screwed up my screen. Let's rank that up. Crank it up. All right, next, we're gonna have zoom. And so what I like for zoom is I usually just use magnify. If you go back, and you'll see this box up here. Usually I keep it down here out of the way. But say I ran over something really interesting. I can hit pause. I can run this magnify box up and be like, what in the world is that? And you can zoom in and see that if you like. And so I particularly like just having a small little magnify box over here, and I usually shove it in the bottom right or left so it doesn't get in the way of what I'm actually running over at the top of the screen. All right, next we have the sonar transmit. You can toggle on and off your sonar. Maybe you're trying to conserve battery or whatever. You can just kind of toggle this on or off. I want to keep it on. And next you have view selection. Right, and so this is interesting. This is one of those settings that basically gets underutilized a lot. And so if you're going to up here and hit left only, you would go back and it would just show you the left side of your boat. But that whole left side would be completely transmitted on your entire screen. Let's say you're going to be running this line for the next hour. You want to see, and you're going to be fishing in the shores to your left. You're going to be fishing on the shore. You can go in here and just quickly change that to get more visibility, more granular visibility into that on one bigger screen. And of course, if you go back, you can do that for the right as well in your view selection, or what kind of comes standard is left and right. So keep that in mind.
So it's my hope that after this tutorial that you understand the side view settings. However, if you're interested in the clear view settings, you can check those out right there. And if you're interested in the traditional settings, you can check that out right there. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.